Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to a new video, and welcome to Moscow. Today I thought I'd take you for a walk around Russia's largest construction expo. It's here at Crocus City, and this is a big exhibition. I'm going to take you for a walk around mostly the outside area of the expo because there's just so much to cover, and to show you some of the equipment that's here, just the sheer amount of people that are here as well. Let's go. I think it's very difficult to get a perspective of how big this event here is in Moscow. Now, I have been here quite a few times before. Crocus City is the place where they had the attack going back a couple of months ago. We'll actually see the building at some point. Off in the distance is Vegas, one of the largest shopping centers in Russia, and certainly in Moscow. And there's actually 11 exhibition halls that this is taking up. And this one right in front of me here is split up into different sections. And this is one of the main entrances to Crocus City Expo Center. And then this outdoor area here would normally be the car park for the Expo Center, for the concert hall, for the aquarium, for the hotel. It's a massive place. It's really just so difficult to give perspective of how large it is and just how much equipment is here. Now, I'm actually here on the first day, and it is absolutely beautiful here in Moscow today. Absolutely blue skies. It's probably the warmest day that we've had so far this springtime going into summer, and it's actually beautiful. It's probably a little bit nicer to be inside today with the air conditioning, but we want to go and see some big equipment and some big vehicles. And what I think I'll do is I'll just walk around just generally and have a look at some of the different products that they've got here and different companies that are represented, because what they do is the companies come along and then they bring literally every piece of equipment they possibly got, and they like to just set them up, across the entire car park, and you can get as close as you like to them. You can climb in them. You can meet all the sales representatives of the different companies, and there's even some demonstration models as well if you want to go for a ride in one. So it's really very interesting. So my main goal of the video is to just show you that Russia is alive and well, and the construction industry is here to stay, and all the different companies that are now looking to do business in Russia and the different brands, and just to show you these expos here in Moscow and just how large they can be. If perhaps you've watched my channel for a while, you know that I did a video here just after the attack at Crocus City Hall. This is the building right in front of us. They've actually got it still closed off, of course, and there's some sort of construction going on there behind the fences. And of course this forms the bigger part of this whole expo. So they've essentially used this entire car park. Probably runs for at least a kilometer in either direction. All the different companies that are set up. If perhaps you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link to it. And I came here literally a couple of days after everything happened to show you what was going on at the time. And it's really a whole different story here now with the amount of people. They estimate that today there should be somewhere around about 70,000 people that'll come to this event, and it's actually held over a few days, so it'll probably get even busier as each day goes along. This might give you a bit of an idea of the space where we are here. So all of these bottom parts is all the outdoor area, which every day of the week is a car park, and then depending on the size of the expos that you come to, they might just use one hall, or they might use all Actually, it's 15 halls in total. I think they're using 11 of them for this event. So there's multiple levels as well. This is where the concert hall is. They can't use that, of course, for expos because it's basically a big theater. You can get an idea of the space and how much they're using just for this expo. One thing while you're watching this video, perhaps if you know some of the brands that I'm showing you, let me know in the comments, perhaps where you're from in the world watching as well. And maybe do these brands exist where you live? Now there is quite a mixture of countries represented here. Predominantly it's a lot of Chinese brands. And these different companies are really world leaders in the manufacturing of heavy equipment. There is some Russian brands, and then inside there's also some companies from Turkey as well. So Ligong, if you've heard of these brands, I'm going to sort of mention quite a few different names as I make the video. So what's interesting when you do look at the expo as a whole, so they've not just brought one piece of equipment, they brought every model in every size, and they give you every opportunity to get in them, climb in them, sit in them. And then they've got the booths over here. Now this is the outdoor exhibition, so it's a little bit different to inside. So they brought their own kind of rooms where they've also got the meetings upstairs. And then you can find one of the sales reps if you want to buy a truck, I guess, or buy a vehicle of some form. And they literally have them going the entire way down right here. So it's literally any size of equipment that you possibly like, from little to big. Now most of the actual expo inside is around the parts and the actual equipment that makes up the machinery. So perhaps tire companies or hydraulic hose companies or engines and things like that. So there's quite an amount of equipment here. Maybe we need a roller. Now for me, I only ever know these as a Bobcat. Of course that's the very well-known brand name, but I think almost all the companies make a piece of equipment that looks like a Bobcat, and it's just slightly different, of course. There's another company here called Lovol, and when I read this a little bit earlier, I kept thinking it was Volvo, and just a little bit of wrong spelling. But this is actually an individual company. It seems to have fairly big, I'd call it earth-moving equipment. And you can always judge how big the companies are by how large their booth is and what they've actually brought as their setup. You'll see much bigger and smaller ones. And have a look here as well. They've actually got the cranes that they've actually brought in. It's quite interesting because behind this whole setup here is a major road, and then there's actually apartments off in the distance with kind of almost the same cranes set up, but they've got them literally here in the car park, and you can actually go in some of them. It's all supervised, of course. It's not just you and I climbing up there, but certainly it's a pretty interesting event to come to. The amount of people here as well, I mean, it's definitely impressive how many people that you see walking around. And of course, it's not just for the men as well. Now, of course, there's a lot here, but there's definitely plenty of ladies as well. This big container lift here, XCMG. If you know this brand, again, let me know. And then we've got Sani. Now what they'd like to do, they've got a lot of events going on as you walk around. I think this one's got a quiz perhaps. and the cheerleaders there. They're here just to distract us and get us over to their stand, of course. Have a look at all these pieces of equipment. This is Sany. So many brands that I've never really personally heard of. Quite clearly not in this industry, of course, but it's still a lot of stuff to see. I mean, the amount of people that are here and walking around. I mean, it's a beautiful day to come and be part of the outdoor version of this expo. You could literally spend about 3 days here if you were to take in all of the equipment, and especially if you want to look at them a little bit closer and jump in them and sit in them. Very interesting. Now, I will say that a lot. You know, I like to come to these expos. I like to make videos at them. I definitely like to sort of show you what they're doing here in Russia and how big these events can be. Now, it's not about me, you know, flaunting that Russia is as good as it is, but you know, the size of the country and the amount of equipment that they need. I mean, logistically, this is all needed. They've got a lady here learning how to use the little construction machine, and they're actually having her pick up a basketball as well. That's pretty cool. It's not just for men when you come here. The ladies get to play with the toys as well. There's another one just going around in circles in the background. It's definitely interesting. I think these are drill cranes from looking at them, or drill rigs. Maybe if somebody knows more than I do, it'll be nice to know something or learn something. They even have all of the parts and accessories for the different pieces of equipment as well. I'm always very curious who comes to these events to buy this equipment. I mean, is it the local businesses throughout Russia? Is it maybe some of the different government arms that need heavy equipment for their towns? I'm really always curious. I like these little machines right here. This is Lon King. Now, they all seem to have this very distinct color of the equipment. So they all have that one natural color that they've sort of painted everything, so it sort of stands out from the next. You can see again all of these different bigger pieces of equipment, cranes and different sort of telehandlers. Let me walk through this guard of honor of these different earth-moving trucks. They've literally brought one of every model. They're all somehow slightly different. I'm always curious. When you look at them next to each other, they look almost identical until you read all of the specifications on them and their capabilities. So you can literally just climb in them and have a look around and get as close as you like to the different equipment. Have a look at this crane right here. I mean, they could literally build apartments with this thing, and they've just brought it here as a demo model. What's really interesting as well for me is just the fact that there's probably 40 different companies that have got what looks like quite similar equipment. You know, when I walk along and look at them up close, they look quite similar to me. And these big earth-moving machines seem to be similar side by side. So perhaps they all do slightly different things from each other. But it's just amazing just how many different companies are represented here. And you know, is there that many businesses in Russia that are looking to do business with these different brands? I mean, this is a once-a-year event. It's by a long way the largest expo they hold in Russia of all different expos, just by the amount of people, the amount of equipment, and just the amount of brands that are here as well. There is a bit of a mix of Western names, and then of course some Chinese names. And there's some Russian brands as well. Devlon. This is a big piece of kit. I mean, just to bring them all here can't be simple. I mean, this would take probably a week to set up, bringing all of this different stuff, and then, you know, the logistics of getting them here and then taking them away later. And these aren't small pieces of equipment just to move down the road. And look at this green looking company here, Zoomlion. And these are all literally brand new pieces of kit as well. They're not anything that's, you know, maybe from another company that they're borrowing. They brought one of everything that they've got. On this side is Sunward. So as I'm walking around, there's more people at some expo stands than at others. Maybe people have a certain brand that they've got a preference for versus others. And maybe just the type of equipment that they brought. Again, different cranes. And they seem to like this bright green color here. It's pretty obvious when you look at some of their equipment. Finally, I've managed to find some Russian vehicles, and the very well-known KAMAZ brand is right here. After seeing row after row of Chinese companies, the Russians are here as well. I certainly hope so, considering we're actually in Moscow. And the very famous KAMAZ logo right there. The flying horse. Maybe it's not the best way that I'm describing it, but they're pretty cool trucks. Now, the one thing what they do when they bring a lot of the different KAMAZ trucks is it's mostly about the different platform that the trucks are built from. So there's actually the cab, and then the base, and then the different things at the back right here. You can see the different equipment that they've actually got. So KAMAZ build a lot of truck bases, and then they're actually sometimes using third-party companies to use for the rest of the manufacturing of the truck. But KAMAZ is right here. Coming inside just for a few minutes, mostly to cool down a little bit because it's very hot outside. And this is the very big KAMAZ section inside here. They've got a very big display set up. They've even got the different engines that you can have a look at. They've got pretty much one of every truck that they make on display also. And of course, the distraction of all the ladies as you walk around. This is what we want to see. The big KAMAZ truck. These are beautiful. And as somebody just pointed out to me before, you can work on these anywhere in the world, on the side of the road. You can take them to any truck in a repair shop, and they can take it apart and fix it. Have a look at these beautiful KAMAZ. The real main idea behind the expo is that they can actually bring all the different models here and then collaborate with some of the companies that make the additional parts for the truck, like these cool units at the back, And primarily what they're actually making and selling is the truck with the axles here at the back, and then where you would buy a separate trailer unit from another company. But the main thing that they make are these very large trucks, and these 4x4, or is it 6x2, I think they call these larger ones. I think possibly I might have to come back tomorrow or another day just to make a video about the commercial vehicles inside, because there was a lot of them. And then outside here it's mostly equipment for construction, earth moving, and then there is a little bit of trucks. Now, somebody made a nice comment the last time I saw these trucks, because I talked about the fact that they were Justin Bieber's trucks, and Justin Bieber has the majority ownership of this company. So Justin Bieber, after making all the songs and all the music, we thank you for making the Justin Bieber trucks. Of course, they're actually called Bieben, not Justin Bieber. So I'm actually more curious now how the translation will come out when I look at the video later. There's one more company of trucks outside, and just like me, other people coming to make videos and make content. This is Citrac. I think they do win the competition for the most colourful trucks here. And the main thing, again, that they're trying to get across is showing every model that they have, and then all the possibilities of the payload that they can carry. Just looking for the right word. So these different beds at the back of the trucks as well. There's quite a few more trucks in the car park outside. I didn't realize. I'm trying to make my way around the whole outside part of the expo, because this is really the bit that I've come to see and wanted to make the video about. Actually, have a look, they've got a cement mixer here as well. And this is the thing, they want to show you the possibilities of each different truck and what you can actually add to it. So at the back you can have different types of cement mixers, or for carrying materials. Very interesting to see. It looks like the Germans are here as well. Are they made in Germany, the MAN trucks? Someone needs to let me know. And perhaps did they leave Russia? Or is this one just parked here inconspicuously amongst all the different Chinese trucks? Not to be outdone by the Chinese trucks and the Russian trucks. Here is MAZ, which is a very well-known Belarus, or company from Belarus, that produce the trucks over there. And they've actually got one on display outside along with the trailer unit as well. So finally I found something from Belarus at this expo. It's really very interesting, and I know I keep repeating it as I walk around and see all these different models and different types of construction vehicles. And I think if we drive down the road and we see some construction going on, we really wouldn't think twice what they're actually using, or where it came from, or what brand it is. And it seems that since all of these different events happened, you know, in Russia and nearby countries, there's a lot more emphasis now on, you know, where a certain brand has come from that's now in Russia, or which companies decided to leave Russia. And I would never even think about that before a year ago, or before 2 years ago. You know, I wouldn't really even pay even attention to the brand on the side of the earth moving equipment. It would never even really be a thing that I've even thought about until I come to these events and just see, you know, how many people are here. I mean, there is tens of thousands of people Probably doesn't feel like it watching it on the video, but between all the different convention halls and then outside here, it's definitely impressive to see how many different companies are in attendance, and there's the amount of equipment and just the amount of money that is here in Russia, you know, amongst all these different companies and different brands that have got their goods on show here. I don't even know what some of these things do. Have a look at the size of this thing. Someone tell me what this thing does. I wonder how many people who know the channel very well, that I actually had a Hyundai car in Australia, my Getz, and I love that car. My wife not so much, and they've actually got Hyundai earth moving equipment here. They've actually got quite a few different models. Now Hyundai is actually Korean, and finally something not from China. The sun's playing a bit of havoc now with the video as I walk around, but it's nice to see Hyundai here in Russia. You see so many Hyundai cars on the road, and then now to see the earth moving equipment. Please let me know, everybody watching, have you seen Hyundai models of these where you live? I think if you get to a point where you've walked around like I've done for quite a few hours, and then you start looking at another truck on top of another one, and then this company doesn't even have a brand name, just letters, and that's it. It's just another company from China. Now I know in other videos people have commented quite a lot that I maybe laugh about it or smile about it. I mean, business is business at the end of the day, right? It's really down to the different people that buy these equipment, and you know, the best deals they can get, even, you know, and what it can do for what they need, and to find, you know, the right company that's got after sales care and different things like that. This looks to me very similar to the JCB brand. And what do you think of the color of this one? Looks like it's been given a nice interesting wrap. Maybe this is a one of one here in Moscow. What do you think? There's some pretty interesting attachments on a couple of these different Bobcat looking machines. I'm so used to that brand. And then when you see other companies' ones, I'm not too sure what this thing does with the spikes. Maybe it's for hay, perhaps. Now this one over here with the brush, I know they use these quite a lot in Moscow, particularly in the winter time. I mean, of course it's a road sweeper of some form, but these also work very well with snow as well. That one over there is with those spikes on. Very interesting. I probably should do a little bit more research into the different brands and different companies that I'm seeing, because so many of them I just don't know or have not heard of before. One here called B-Zone. Now I don't see any bees around. There's no honey. I wonder, again, I think perhaps another Chinese company that's here. And then another one, as I walk a little bit further along, just has different letters, HZM. And they've got lots of different front end loaders, different styles of them as well. And I guess they've all got a purpose, right? As we look at them and what they can do and how they can sort of suit somebody's business. I've almost reached the far end of the exhibit now, and just looking back from here, just how far down it goes. It is probably a 15-minute walk if you walk from one end to the other. It's a very big territory, Crocus City. I think when a lot of people saw this on the news when the events happened at the concert hall, it's very hard to get a perspective of just how big this whole territory is. You know, the fact that they can host an event just outdoors here is staggering in itself. And the amount of equipment that they can kind of get on display and put out. It's just so many things. Have a look. Make in India. And they've actually got one piece of equipment. It looks like it's for road resurfacing. And it's made in India. How cool is that? Finally, India is here. Now, one piece of equipment, of course, but very interesting. As I slowly make my way out of the expo, there's a little bit less people here now. The shadows are getting a little bit longer. It's just so interesting, and I know I've said it many, many times, to look at these equipment, even talk to some of the different salespeople that are here, and learn something about their companies and, you know, their goals while they're at this event. You know, it's just something else. Just the sheer size of it. It's just probably hard for me to explain. I mean, this is just the outdoor part. There is 11 halls with indoor exhibition as well. So I want to thank everybody for watching this video, and I again think for me it was interesting to come here and to see the largest equipment expo in Russia. And a lot of this, of course, is for mining, for earth moving, for all sorts of different projects, road construction. So I hope it was as interesting as I found it for you watching. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Please, in the comments, let me know if you want to see more things like this. I can certainly come to more events. They're held very frequently here in Moscow, and I can certainly look some up. As a helicopter flies over. If you want to follow me on Telegram, there's a link right here. I actually posted quite a lot of photos today of this event, and also lots of subscribers that I met. And if you want to see an old video, click this link to something you haven't seen on the channel before. Thanks everybody. I'll see you in another video. Bye.